Hi everyone, welcome back to the series of combating fraud videos. Last time, me and my colleague Abhilasha had been speaking about how there are different kind of challenges that we are seeing in terms of the rise of fraud. We talked about the different cases and the different factors for which the frauds are rising. We also saw how the rise of fraud have been shaping the consumer landscape in terms of mainly the payments as well as like the online transaction side of things. So today are going to focus more in terms of like what are the different kind of ways that frauds are being combated in today's world. And when we talk about these kind of ways, what we have found out is like we can place them into three main categories. The first being the in-house investments that are being particularly done by all the different enterprises to combat fraud. So some of these are something which are the regular, some of these are like regular investment areas that you would see in terms of how to build and optimize your capabilities. The second route is the GCC, the Global Cost Center, as well as the captive routes that we have seen that been taking place. And the third being the third party outsourcing, basically taking help from the third parties or majorly operating in these spaces. Now, today we'll be double clicking on the first way in which the frauds are being combated, being the in-house investments. Now, it's no surprise to see AI/ML analytics and automation being utilized to combat these frauds. So these are the kind of services which we have seen being utilized, these technology levers being utilized in some ways or the other. So the main ways that we have seen them utilize the creation of customer profiles that helps in profiling these customer as well as score them in different parameters, which will be likely be, you're likely to be committing frauds, and that can help in future prevention. Similarly, analytics helps in predictive dashboarding as well as helping to understand where are the different kind of use cases or where are the emerging areas that are forming in these fraud area. And the new areas that we are seeing being utilized and new technologies are basically the blockchain and the quantum computing. Blockchain, although it's not, I would say like it has been aging over for some time, but we are seeing the immutable nature of blockchain being utilized to do a more transparent transaction and keep the very open book ledger that would help you to understand how the transactions are occurring, which basically helps in trailing different transactions and combat fraud. And similarly, quantum computing does help in more in terms of predictive analytics, as well as to understand what kind of parameters or what kind of situations might lead in terms of areas that will lead into frauds. So overall, this is something which we will seeing in terms of the different potential cases. But in terms of the use cases that are being practically applied, my colleague Abhilasha will be taking you over there.
Thank you for setting up the context, Subba. So, one common observation that we have seen is enterprises across industries, they have accelerated their efforts and pumped up the budgets for fraud prevention. So, today let's focus on some of the investments taken up by them, especially in financial services sector or in social media or big tech platform. So we're going to talk about the initiatives that they have taken for fighting fraud, both from a content perspective and from a financial fraud perspective. So enterprises like Twitter, Meta, or Netflix, what they have been doing is they have been leveraging technologies like machine learning to actually discriminate between fake and authentic profiles, which is one of the very common fraud that they are chasing against. And how they do it is they analyze characteristics like followers or friend counts or status changes, and then they sort of classify these profiles as fake or not authentic. Similarly, we talk about enterprises operating in financial services space. We see that large financial institutions, they have big wallets to spend on FCC ops. So big banks like JP Morgan, they are one of the pioneers when it comes to innovation and R&D across financial crime and compliance value chain. So researchers within JP Morgan and Chase, what they have done is they are spending heavily on technologies like AI, and they have developed early warning system based on this technology, where they sort of combine the learnings from big data and they are able to preempt any fraud related to phishing campaigns by analyzing the domain traffic or any error in the spelling names of the website. So this is basically a good use case when it comes to analyzing real time analyzing and detecting real-time fraud. Other big banks like Wells Fargo, they have taken a different, which is more like a partnership route as one of the use cases that we have followed. They have partnered with this software provider, which is Fico Falcon, and they are using the data on customers, the big data on customers that they have to detect fraud in real time. Other banks like BBVA, what they have done is they have launched one of the industry's first no number kind of cards, which is basically the cards, they do not have any CVV number or any PAN number, but the customers, they actually use the website or the application of the bank to access the dynamic CVV or card number every time that they transact. And they've also partnered with innovative technology providers like Veritas for biometric identification. So that sort of ups their authentication or cybersecurity game. Other interesting step that we have seen across banks is when banks, they come together and form kind of a consortium and they exchange data between each other, which sort of helps them enrich the entire process of fraud detection. So to sum it up, the customer centricity and the tightening of regulations in this space, they are nudging banks to layer up their defense mechanism against fraud. To know more about other innovative routes that banks or other enterprises they have taken to combat fraud, stay tuned to our video series. Thank you.